Peter Gutstein with my final project presentation for CSU44052 Computer Graphics. For this assignment, I was tasked with making a post-apocalyptic 3D rendered scene of Dublin, so that is what I'm here to show today. To make sure that this was instantly recognizable as Dublin, I wanted to just make a 3D model of O'Connell Street, and that's what I'm here to show today. So, just to start off with kind of what this project entails is, well, here's O'Connell Street. I've tried to make it as accurate as I can. So for example, here is a scale recreation of the spire with the dimensions I found of it online. Scale recreations of Dublin buses, which I've also found the dimensions for online. A ruined GPO due to a robot takeover / invasion with some robots around the scene. One of the statues on O'Connell Street itself, the general layout of the road and street sidewalks itself, some buildings which I kind of took the general architecture of the street into mind and of Dublin in general. And as you can see, all these models are 3D and imported into the scene by me. I've made all these models and textured them by hand using Blender primarily. Actually entirely using Blender and texturing them using JPEG images, which I then sampled down to size and appropriately rendered and textured in the scene itself using OpenGL, specifically the STB image library to load in the images, and a combination of GLFW and GLAD to both render the models and display them appropriately. Moving on with the other features of my project, I've also implemented complete user control so that they can walk around and use the scene. So the primary ones are you can move the camera forward, back, left, and right, and do any number of combinations of these at the same time. You can also have 360-degree camera control. You can look all the way up and all the way down within the scene. Other major things I wanted to show off was the lighting system. So as you can see, there are multiple lights within the scene, including an ambient moonlight which provides a little bit of just ambient highlights to the scene as a whole. Some spotlights in the form of these lamp lights throughout the street, and this one fire on this Dublin bus, which is beautifully reflected off of the material that I used within the scene. So each object has a specific material based on the actual properties of the material in real life. So for example, this asphalt is a little bit shinier and slightly more reflective than the stone brick on the side of the road. However, it's clearly not as shiny as the Dublin spire, which is absorbing a lot of the light throughout the scene and reflecting a lot of the light back in the scene. And you can also really see the specular highlights on the bottom of the spire itself. So as you can see, there's kind of that circular specular shape elongated on the spire itself with that darker ambient in part on the bottom right, and the other orange light of the bus reflecting back on it. And as you can see, kind of the burnt out bus is a little less reflective as a whole, but it does have that, it is absorbing a lot of the not green light within the image, and it's reflecting that green light back at us, giving it the burnt metal a slightly greener, more oxidized appearance. And continuing on within the scene, I've also added kind of a lot of robots throughout the scene, which are animated, moving back and forth throughout the scene and turning around when appropriate. So as you can see, I have one here which is fully textured when it comes into the light, and as you can see, it comes along this path, it hits a certain stopping point, and then it'll turn around. And I have a few more of those scattered throughout the scene. I have a few back here. As you can see, there's one walking out of that alley and back into it, kind of patrolling around. And I have a second one which is coming out of this alley and walking around. So I also have another one there which goes between that alley up there and this alley, and another one that kind of walks up and down this street right here. So those are the main features of my project. The lighting system, which I mentioned previously, the models, which are 3D and also custom made and textured by myself, the camera controls, and the crowd of animated robots moving about throughout the scene. I hope that is a thorough presentation. Thank you so much for your time.